Ducati have launched an all-new bike into their range, the Ducati Desert X. As the name gives away, this is a proper off-road machine made to cross deserts and jump sand dunes, but Ducati do stress that it is comfortable on road too. Could the introduction of the Desert X mean that Ducati are planning to enter the Dakar? As we will cover later in the video, it wouldn't be the first time. The bike has a newly developed frame, some newly developed electronics and some other off-road specially developed touches that make sure that you have to take the Desert X seriously. In this video we will have a look into the details of the Desert X and also those new and specialist features. Hello and welcome to Moto Chatter. Please remember to take a second to hit the subscribe and bell icons to ensure you don't miss any future uploads. Now let's dive into the details. Obviously the first thing that hits you are the looks of the bike, and at first glance from the side you could be forgiven for thinking it's an 80s or 90s enduro bike. That is until you see those LED headlights and daytime running lights. 80s and 90s enduro bikes were the inspiration for the Desert X, which was first unveiled as a concept in 2019 and has been in development since then. Ducati say the Desert X is a blend of post-heritage style with contemporary minimalism. With its pared back essential features, the minimalist clean look is helped by the predominantly star silk white bodywork contrasting with the black of the seat, frame and engine. And except for the stripe detailing and the tail light, Ducati red is nowhere to be found. The Desert X is a case of form follows function, and although the overall shape of the bike is typical enduro, Ducati have been working in the wind tunnel, as we saw in my recent Panigale V4 video, and the Desert X has some subtle details to make it aerodynamically efficient and offer protection to the rider and passenger while directing heat away from them too, as well as being very slim with rounded surfaces to allow room to move and ease of movement on the bike. In keeping with its intended use, the sump and radiator guards come as standard, but Ducati are keen to make clear that the Desert X has been developed on-road as well as off-road and is built to be comfortable for distances on tarmac too. Then we come to those headlights, and nowhere on the bike embodies the post-heritage style blending with contemporary minimalism more than the headlights. I really like them, and the way that they are integrated into the windshield and the fairing is something new and works really well. I like the daytime running light signature too, which manages to be both subtle and distinctive at the same time, and being twin high-powered LEDs, the headlights are practical as well as being an aesthetic statement. As with the profile and the headlight signature, you could also be forgiven upon first seeing the Desert X for having Ducati a long way down your list of guesses as to the manufacturer of the bike, because it doesn't really look like a Ducati, does it? Except it does, at least for those of us who are old enough to remember the Cagiva Elephant or Ducati E900 in the US. The Elephant was born from a time when Cagiva bought Ducati in the mid-1980s. And it wasn't just a show pony. It won the Dakar twice, in 1990 and in 94, powered by the air-cooled Ducati twin from the 900 SS, which was kicking out 68 horsepower in enduro form. A serious machine in its day, and when you see the Elephant in its Lucky Strike race colours, the family resemblance with the Desert X is even clearer. So the Desert X has championship winning race heritage, and has a lot to live up to. Although its looks and enduro stance aren't the only similarities it has with the Elephant. Like its Cagiva badge grandfather, the Desert X shares its engine with other more road-focused Ducatis. The Desert X runs the second generation Testa-Stretta 11 degree engine. The 11 degrees refers to the overlap angle of the crank rotation and not the angle between the cylinders. The engine is the 937cc Desmo valve liquid cooled V-twin, as is in the Multistrada V2 and the Monster. In the Desert X it is putting out 110 horsepower at 9,000 rpm and 68 pound-foot at 6,500 rpm. There will be a 35 kilowatt version available as well for A2 license holders. The second generation Testa-Stretta 11 degree engine was fully reworked from the first generation to a weight saving of 1.7 kilograms. It has an 8-plate clutch and a bearing mounted gear drum to reduce friction and improve smoothness and accuracy when shifting gear. Although the Desert X shares its engine, the gearbox is a different story, with dedicated gear ratios. First to fifth gears are shorter than on the Multistrada V2 to enable better off-road performance, with first and second gears being particularly shorter, allowing more control and precision at very low speeds. Sixth gear is also shorter but still quite long to help with highway cruising and keep the engine revs low and therefore improving fuel consumption. To feed the engine, the Desert X has a 21 litre fuel tank, but you can also remove the passenger seat, which allows for the addition of an optional 8 litre reserve tank, as well as extra luggage space. When fuel is low, the rider is then able to refill the main tank from the reserve tank by simply activating the function in the menu using the handlebar controls, a handy trick for those long distances and remote adventures. The Desert X has an all-new steel trellis frame, which has been developed specifically to handle the punishment off-road riding can entail, as well as behave well on road. Attached to the frame is a twin-sided aluminium swing arm. The suspension is supplied by Kayaba. Ducati tested and worked with Kayaba to tune the suspension to suit the Desert X's requirements. The suspension setup is fully adjustable with 46mm upside down forks and a rear monoshock. The rear monoshock uses a bladder instead of a septum to separate the oil from the pressurized nitrogen. This is done to make the suspension action smoother. Front suspension travel is 230mm with 220 at the rear, and ground clearance on the Desert X is 250mm. The wheels are all new for Ducati. They are cross-spoked with a 21-inch up front and an 18 at the rear. They take tubeless tyres and are supplied standard with Pirelli Scorpion STRs, a 90-90-20 on up front and a 150-70-18 at the rear. The Scorpions were chosen as standard fit as they are an all-round tyre, although the wheels have been homologated to take different off-road and on-road specific tyres too. You can pause the video quickly now to read about those homologated choices. Brakes are twin Brembo M50 calipers up front on 320mm discs, and there is a Brembo 2-piston caliper and a 265mm disc at the rear, and of course there is an adjustable lever. Ducati say they have worked to tune the braking power to give plenty of power on the road, but also good modularity for off-road riding as well. The whole bike weighs in at 202 kg dry, with a wet weight quoted of 223 kg, but no reference to how much fuel that includes, so probably not much. Seat height on the Desert X is 875mm. There is a low seat option, and as mentioned, the passenger seat can be removed to provide extra luggage space and attach the reserve tank. There is also an optional one-piece rally seat available if you prefer. Ducati tested the Desert X extensively on and off-road to get the ergonomics just right, and say they have made the transition between seated and standing positions as natural as possible, with foot peg and handlebar positions set with a focus on control when standing and comfort when seated for longer on-road riding. The Desert X features a vertically mounted 5-inch colour display which can integrate with the Ducati multimedia system. This allows for connection to your phone for call control, music and turn-by-turn navigation. The TFT dash has 2 layouts, Standard and Rally. In the Rally mode, it has a Tripmaster function which works like the Tripmaster system used to navigate during rallies. Via the display you can access the huge array of rider settings and the rider modes, the Desert X having 2 specifically off-road dedicated modes. It has a Bosch 6-axis IMU and all the usual functions you would expect from a modern day Ducati. Cornering ABS with 3 levels and it can be turned off, 8-level adjustable traction control, 3-level adjustable engine braking control, 4-level adjustable wheelie control and 4 separate power modes which change the throttle map settings. There are 6 ride modes in total which have presets for each of the other settings but also allow adjustment too. The rider modes are Sport, Touring, Urban, Wet and the 2 specific off-road modes Enduro and Rally. Enduro mode has specific settings for the Desert X and Rally mode is a new mode being introduced on the Desert X. Enduro drops the power to 75 horsepower but still gives good throttle response and allows the ABS to be deactivated via a dedicated button on the handlebars. Ducati say Enduro mode is designed to be effective in any off-road situation and also friendly to less experienced off-road riders. Rally mode gives full power and throttle response. It drops the wheelie control and traction control to their lowest settings and sets the ABS to its lowest setting too, while also allowing it to be turned off by the dedicated button on the bars. The ABS can only be turned off in the Enduro and Rally modes. Ducati say Rally mode is designed for advanced off-road riding, allowing you to access the full potential of the Desert X. As you would expect, the Desert X features all-round LED lights and the rear light flashes under heavy braking to warn riders and drivers behind you of the potential hazard. To go along with the already mentioned reserve tank and the low and rally seat options, you can also option engine bar protection, hand guards, heated grips, headlight protection, a reinforced engine protection option, and a higher screen. There is also a centre stand and LED spotlights available as well. Luggage wise, there is a set of aluminium panniers with an aluminium top box which together provide 117 litres of luggage capacity. Load capacity on the Desert X is 240 kilograms. The options list even includes a road legal Termagononi exhaust if you wanted to dump the standard stainless steel one, and if you wanted a bit more performance off-road, there is also a race version of the Termagononi exhaust which has a dedicated engine map and increases power and torque by 7%. In addition to the options for the bike, there are also some options for you. Ducati have launched a line of matching off-road riding gear. It consists of a jacket, trousers and helmet, and is the same kit that you have seen in this video. The clothing is a limited edition, so bear that in mind if it's something that interests you. Prices for the Desert X start at £13,795 in the UK, and service intervals are 9,000 miles, that's 15,000 kilometers or 2 years. The Desmo service is twice that at 18,000 miles, which is 30,000 kilometers. So what do you think? Could the introduction of the Desert X signal that Ducati are preparing to re-enter the Dakar? It certainly seems ready and well equipped, and as a production bike isn't badly priced. I like its overall look and the headlights in particular. Ducati seem to have done a good job of balancing practicality and style and drawing on their previous enduro heritage while still moving things on in the modern era. But those are my thoughts. What do you think? Do you like the bike? Is it something you expected from Ducati, and do you think they're going to enter the Dakar? Let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe for plenty more motorcycle videos to come. It helps the channel and is always really appreciated. You can click the links on screen for more now, but whatever you do, have a great day and thanks for watching.